Hi, I'm Matt Jackson working with Gym Club Solutions, and today we're going to be filming a video tutorial on how to teach straddled and piked undershoot on bar. Okay, when teaching the straddled and piked undershoot, it's important to have our prerequisite skills. So today we're going to be looking at a good straddled and piked leg lift on the bar. We should have a good strong dish position. We should have a good landing position and also a good cast to horizontal on bar. Okay, we're now going to look at some flexibility for the straddled and piked undershoot. Before teaching this, the gymnast should be able to show a good straddled Japana position and a good pike fold. So we're going to look at the Japana. So the Japana position should look like this. The gymnast should have their open shoulder angle, a nice flat back, nice tight knees with the knees pushing into the carpet, and nice tension throughout their legs. Okay, when looking at the pike fold, again, when the gymnast is performing this for a straddled or piked undershoot, we want the gymnast to have nice extended arms so their hands are reaching past their feet, a nice flat back and nice tight knees. So the gymnast should be as folded in half as possible. Okay, we're now going to start looking at some of the physical preparation for the straddled and piked undershoot. We've looked at straddle position and Japana and pike fold. We're now going to try and introduce some banded resistance. So we're going to look at the same positions, but we're going to introduce using the band to apply some pressure. So when we're pushing the bar away at the starting point of the straddled and piked undershoot, we want the gymnast to have a bit of resistance to feel pushing the bar away. So the band is going to simulate the bar, and the gymnast is going to try and resist the band and push it past their feet, as that's where their hands will need to be when they're on the bar. The gymnast can do this multiple times, working on their extension through their shoulders and hitting that nice pike fold position and trying to hold the band with straight arms past their feet. Okay, so now we're looking at the straddled position. So again, the gymnast is using the band for resistance, sliding into the Japana position, pushing their shoulder angle open and their belly flat to the carpet. Okay, we're now going to have another look at a preparation for the straddle and pike undershoot. So today we're going to get the gymnast to lay on the floor, holding the bar. We're going to get the gymnast to bring their legs to the bar. So we're in the pike position, so the toes are going to touch the bar here. And what we're going to get the gymnast to do is work against us with a bit of resistance. So I'm going to hold the gymnast's legs here, and I'm going to ask the gymnast to press against me. This then works both ways for a bit of flexibility in the hamstrings and also a bit of strengthening for the opening point as their feet leave the bar into the strong dish position for the end part of the undershoot. Okay, so we're now trying the same exercise in straddle. We're purposely asking the gymnast here to keep their hips slightly raised from the floor, as then when their legs join together, they'll be in a nice shoulder stand position, ready to shoot at the right distance from the bar. Okay, so now we're going to look at another nice physical prep exercise. So we've looked at resistance with the legs. We now want the gymnast to think about, after they've resisted against us, to move their legs to a shoulder stand position. This is going to simulate the exit point of the straddle and piked undershoot. Okay, so we'll start with straddle position. So again, I'm going to apply a little bit of resistance. The gymnast working against me, and then their legs are going to shoot to shoulder stand and then come back to the bar. So again, apply pressure and then shoot to shoulder stand, and then again, pressure and shoulder stand. Okay, so we're now looking at the same position but piked. So the gymnast is going to apply pressure against me and then shoot to shoulder stand. And again, so we're here and then shoot to shoulder stand. When you do this, we want the gymnast to have vision of where their toes are. So when they come away from the bar, they'll be looking at the floor and where they're going to be landing. Fast. Go one more. So tension in the legs and shoulder stand. Okay, another nice preparation we can use for the last part of the undershoot is to make the gymnast hold the floor bar. Today I'm going to raise the gymnast's hips slightly up, and I'm going to ask the gymnast to lift their feet off the block into this nice dish position. We want to see this position as the gymnast leave the bar holding this shape. So today I'm going to put a bit of resistance against the gymnast's feet. They have to work hard to hold their feet up with vision of their toes so that we can make this nice strong position when exiting the skill. We should now understand how to teach the flexibility phases and the strength and body preparation phases for teaching a straddle and piked undershoot. Okay, we're now going to look at the entry point skills. So we're going to get the gymnast to use a floor bar, and they're going to do a straddle onto the bar and also a pike onto the bar. This is then going to be for the first phases of their entry. We're now going to get the gymnast to start standing on a soft safety mat with their hands on the floor bar, jump to straddle and jump to pike with the entry point dropping onto the mat. This will be then covering the flexibility exercise that we looked at earlier with the pike fold and the Trapana position. Okay, another nice exercise that we can use is to use a set of wall bars for the gymnast to stand on in straddle and then push away, dropping down towards the Trapana position and then coming back up. This is just a nice exercise to get the gymnast confident with the first phase of dropping down at the entry point. We can do this in straddle and pike. As we mentioned earlier in the video, the gymnast should already be able to cast towards horizontal, and this is what it should look like. Now we have the gymnast confident with the entry point in straddle and pike on floor bars and also using the wall bar exercise. We're now going to introduce casting into straddle and pike stand on the actual bar. We're now going to start to look at the underbar swinging phases, the exit point and the landing phase of the straddle and pike undershoot. Okay, we're now going to start looking at the underbar swinging part of the straddle and pike undershoot. So to do this, the gymnast is going to be strapped onto the bar to start off with. We're going to get the gymnast just to hang with their feet touching the bar. So we'll start with the straddle position. When doing this, you want the gymnast's feet to be just slightly wider than their hands. We don't want them to be really wide like box splits. We want them to be just in this position. We want the gymnast to have their ears covered so their head is in a neutral position and nice straight knees. When we start off moving, we want to just simulate the rocking motion. So when we're moving the gymnast, we want to just rock them, keeping their toes in contact with the bar. We want to get the gymnast to understand that their hips need to come level with the bar when they're making this. Okay, it's the same when the gymnast is doing it in pike fold. Again, their feet should be in between their hands, their head should be in between their arms, and their bum should be trying to come level with the bar. When supporting the gymnast doing their underbar swings, we're going to have one hand on their upper back and one hand on their lower back. This is to help the rocking motion, so we can get the gymnast to understand where their hips are going to rise to when we're supporting the swing. This is to stop common errors happening. So when we do underbar swinging, a common error is that the gymnast's head position will drop back and their knees will bend as well. What we don't want is them to do this when they're trying to do the underbar swing. Here, causing their body shape to change as they leave the bar and their legs to bend too early. What we want is the gymnast to keep their head still and their legs straight so we can create the correct exit point when teaching the undershoot. When teaching the exit point of the straddled or piked undershoot, this is a nice variation that you can use. So today we've got a block. The gymnast again is going to be strapped onto the bar. We're going to do some underbar swings first, then we're going to get the gymnast to feel the shoulders down the exit point. The gymnast is going to rest their hips onto the block and they're going to hold that position for us. So the block's going to take away the coach having to hold the gymnast in that position. So if you can't physically hold the gymnast in the air, then the block's going to take the weight for you. So this is a really nice variation to look at. So the gymnast again is going to start with their feet on the bar. We're going to do a few rocks first, again supporting in the same position. So 1, 2, and on the third rock, we're going to bring the gymnast's feet to shoulder stand onto the block, and they're going to hold the position themselves. So again, this is the right position for the exit point, and the gymnast also has vision of their feet ready to prepare to land. Okay, if you're able to, you can do this supporting the gymnast fully, so you can do multiple repetitions. If you can't do this, stick to the stages with the block so the gymnast can take the weight themselves. It also helps the gymnast create the right shapes and get stronger as well. So this is going to be the exercise where we're supporting the gymnast. So we're going to do the same rocks. 1, 2. Again, we want to wait till the gymnast's feet come off to the shoulder stand, back onto the bar, and then rock again. So 1, 2, hips come level with the bar, shoulder stand position, back onto the bar, and rocking again. 1, 2, hips open. Okay, when teaching these phases, it's important to note that the support positions are the same. So the top of the back and the lower back. Again, this is to encourage the gymnasts to keep their feet on the bar to the right point before they exit, stopping them from shooting their feet off the bar early. This is a common mistake when teaching straddle and piked undershoots. We're now going to move the gymnasts onto the chalk bar after they've consolidated these phases. Okay, now moving on from the shiny bar, we've gone back to the wooden bar. This is now so we can teach the entry point in straddle and pike and the under swinging element. Today we're going to use a mat in front of the bar to give a barrier and a soft mat underneath the bar so the gymnasts can try casting into the underbar swing and safely hit the mat on their own. So this is a nice in-between exercise that the gymnasts can do to build their confidence with the underbar swinging part before we get to the exit point. Again, there'll be lots of mats around in front and underneath the bar, so it's a nice safe exercise for the gymnasts to try themselves. Now we've taught the gymnasts how to entry in straddle and pike onto the bar. We're now going to move on to the shiny bar. This is so we can teach the entry point, the underbar swing and the exit point without the gymnast having to worry about slipping off of the bar. Okay, now the gymnast has learnt the entry point using a floor bar. We're now going to move on to the shiny bar, joining the two parts together. So the entry point into the underbar swing and the exit point that we looked at earlier. Okay, again, so the gymnast is going to now cast, enter the bar, and exit the bar at the right, correct position. It's important when supporting the gymnast to look at where we're going to place our hands. So when we're supporting the gymnast for this part of the skill, we're going to have one hand underneath the bar holding the gymnast around the wrist. This is in case they slip off when they're swinging underneath the bar. Then our hands will quickly move to the upper and lower back to make the same position we did in the previous preps. Okay, when supporting the gymnast through this phase, it's important to look at where we're placing our hands and look at how we're technically doing it. So when the gymnast has cast and made their entry point, the hand is going to go underneath the bar and hold the gymnast's wrist. This is to stop them from slipping off underneath the bar. Then our hands will move to the upper and lower back to support the gymnast like we did previous preps when we had the gymnast stopping on the block. We can also use the block as we did in the previous prep when we're at this stage. So the gymnast can cast through the entry point, the underbar swing, and then the exit point, and the coach can place the gymnast onto the block, thus supporting the gymnast's body weight so we don't have to hold them there. We have to be careful that the gymnast doesn't swing too high so that their hands don't slip off the bar at the back side of the swing. So we're going to move the gymnast throughout the swing now and trying to get them level with the bar with their hips, and then we're going to support them on the way back down. Okay, so the gymnast is going to hold on to the bar. Again, the feet are going to be in contact with the bar, a good neutral head position, and we're just going to gently rock the gymnast through that swinging phase so they can try and feel their hips coming level with the bar. We're now going to repeat the exercise in the pike position. Okay, we're now going to look at the underbar swing into the exit point using the block like we did earlier. This time we're going to be doing it in handguards with chalk. We can do this with or without the block, so the coach is supporting the skill or the block is there to take the gymnast's weight. We're now going to join the underbar swing, the exit point, and the safe landing all together. You should now understand how to do an underbar swing connected to an exit point into a nice safe landing for the second half of teaching your straddled or piked undershoot. Okay, we're now moving on to showing the full skill of the undershoot in straddle and piked, and then we'll also show how to support the skill. I'm now going to go over some different supports that you can use. Okay, we're now going to move on to the gymnast trying the undershoot unsupported. So we're going to use a block to help them with their entry point, and then a nice soft safety landing mat. The gymnast is going to jump from the block, feet are going to come on the bar, they're going to do the undershoot and land onto the soft safety mat. Again, they can try this in straddle and once the gymnast is comfortable doing this stage with the block, doing the undershoot on their own, we can then progress on to the gymnast trying from a cast into the undershoot unsupported. Again, if the gymnast doesn't feel quite comfortable to do that, we can shadow the gymnast in case they slip. If not, we can go back to using the supports with 2 or 1 coach on their own like we've shown previously. Okay, now that we've shown you all of the supports, you can safely choose which one you want to use with your gymnasts. So this will be gauged on their age and their ability when teaching the pike and straddled undershoot. So we've looked at the individual support with myself, holding the entry point with the arm, and then the lower back and upper back for the exit point, guiding them to a safe landing. We've looked at double supporting the exit point with myself and Ben. We've also looked at one coach supporting the entry and the other coach supporting the exit points. And then we've looked at the full skill supported with holding the arm and the lower leg so that we can hold the gymnast in case they feel like they're going to slip off throughout the skill. So please take these away, use them with your coaches and your gymnasts to show the supports safely, and then make sure that everything is done in a good, safe environment in the gym.